Enshrouded is an open world adventure RPG developed by Keen Games, which just so happens to be the same people who developed Portal Knights. And while I've been hearing that this game gets compared to Dark Souls a lot, I'd say it's more of an interesting blend between Breath of the Wild, Skyrim, and Portal Knights. And while that may sound like a simple copy and paste at first, Enshrouded really stood on its own and became fun to play just because of all its unique gimmicks and gameplay. In Enshrouded, you play as a long-forgotten hero lost to time who awakens to see the world in shambles after a magical plague turns most of life into these fungus-like monsters. And it's up to you to do whatever you want to do. Fight sinister bosses, explore vast jungles, spend over 20 hours trying to build a house? Yeah man, I know I did. And yes, I know that premise doesn't lead you to believe that this game has a great narrative or expansive amount of in-depth lore. And you know what? You'd be right to assume so. This story is basic as fuck, but looking past the lore hidden through random notes scattered every 10 feet, this game is actually pretty fun. I ended up beating the game through multiplayer, and in my 50-hour runtime, I pretty much enjoyed every second of it. I'm not the type of person to usually find open world survival games like this super engaging. Hell man, I own Pal World and still haven't played it. But the design, look, and feel of this game, it's all just solid. Enshrouded plays great, and though its enemies and objectives bordered on getting repetitive at times, it always felt like there was something to do. I always wanted to do as much as I can. Explore every well and chop down these mushroom thingies for more skill points, discover new towns with new loot, or just find hidden secrets. There's a lot to do. Though the way this game handles progression could definitely use some tweaking, it's solid on how it makes you feel like an absolute monster when you progress. The biggest example being this game's skill tree. With this game's skill tree, I was able to make my character exactly how I wanted them to be. There are many branching paths, some focusing on melee builds, range builds, and magic builds. But some of these perks are absolutely busted, and if you're in a lobby with multiple players, you can create some absolutely toxic combos. Such as when most of my lobby had Water Aura, a magic skill that made it so as long as we stood by each other, we couldn't die, unless an enemy one-shotted us. My whole time playing the game, I was so focused on creating this archer build that I ended up making this fragile scout who can't really afford to take any damage, but boy did it feel like I had infinite stamina. While in battle, I wasn't always the best or strongest, but when it came to this game's resource collecting and management, all these skills helped out a lot. And I mean a lot, because this game expects you to do a shit ton of resource management. But that's one of the charms about the multiplayer in this game. While one person is out finding saffron, the other person is looking for water, while the last guy is out mining. And all of this is extremely necessary, whether or not that's a plus or a negative for you. To make any form of progress in this game, you're going to have to look for or farm for a lot of resources, and that's probably going to be a good chunk of your time. Let me explain. The world of Enshrouded is filled to the brim with this totally not weed smoke, and your character just finished their graduation from DARE. So you can't stay in the smoke too long. Just go in, complete an objective, and get out. Red smoke is an even bigger nope, as it can kill you in mere seconds. The only way to progress through is to upgrade your flame, which then turns some red smoke into white smoke, which then allows you to discover new areas, new resources, and in turn, repeat the cycle. It's a simple gameplay loop and not necessarily a bad one, but it's definitely one of those things where the more people you have playing, the easier it's gonna be. Like when getting the late game armor, you have to find or farm flax, turn it into linen so you can then turn it into fabric, so you can then turn it into padding. Do that 3 more times and have a couple of other grindy materials at the ready, and there you go. You got a single piece of armor. But while some of that grind can be a turnoff for some people, there's so many things this game just does so right. Building a house in this game is crucial, and not in a Minecraft survive the night from mobs kind of way, but in a min-maxing way. The more complex your house is built with furnishing and stuff like that, you'll actually get an increase to your stamina bar and regeneration. I can't believe a game is actually out here rewarding you for building a survival structure. Again, I'm not familiar with this genre, but I just feel like that's not super common except for avoiding enemies. As an archer, it was especially great because stamina was one of my main stats, and I mean this in the most unsarcastic way possible. This game is great. But as great as Enshrouded is and how much I can hype up my love for this game, it definitely has its shortcomings. As of now, shy of bosses which you'll fight the same 5 throughout your entire experience, the enemy design is severely lacking in variety. The same enemies you fight within the first hour, you're going to be fighting in your last hour. Playing as an archer, while fun, is so extremely grindy. I cannot fathom how I'm going to continue playing this class, and as much fun as I had with it, I kinda don't want to recommend it to everyone else. While my tank friend and my wizard friend were able to easily secure good weapons and spells and just move on with their life and just fight things, I was often stuck mining and farming twigs because arrows go by so quickly, and you have to farm your arrows in order to get them. I once had a stack of 1,000+ arrows and it was gone within an hour, extremely limiting how useful I was in a fight. The grind on this is so excessive, and it doesn't help that my wizard friend was out here dealing massive damage per hit, and I'm out here dealing a quarter of his damage. And I had higher dex than his intelligence. Like, come on, man, please. But this game's in early access, so I know my experience is only going to get better. The whole map isn't available yet, but what's here is so massive, that even now I'd say it's worth it. Enshrouded is a fun game, and I don't usually like games like this. So if what you've seen in this video has tickled your fancy in any way, I can recommend you at least watch a couple more videos of it before deciding for yourself. I mean, it was able to sell 1 million copies in the whole Power World craze, so they must be doing something right. Enjoy the rest of your day, and take care.